Hudson Valley Weather Senior Forecaster Bill Potter. This is halftime. It is halftime for the winter. Um, it's January 15th, and the meteorological winter runs from December 1st through February 28th, which means that we are officially right at the middle of meteorological winter. So what we wanted to do was kind of elaborate on the website post that we put up on Sunday, so feel free to check that out as well if you want to read it. But we figured we would also go through in a little more detail where we've been, what the winters look like so far, as well as what we expect the rest of the way. Do we expect the pattern to be consistent, or do we expect to see some changes? This is the December temperature projections from the Hudson Valley Weather Winter Outlook, and you'll notice that the general theme involved warmth along the East Coast, involved cold in the Midwest, and we also had warmth out here in the Southwest. And where did things end up? Well, not too terrible. We definitely were consistent with the warmth in the East Coast. That definitely did come out the way we thought. The cold that we expected in the Midwest was actually a little farther northwest. So we really had it focused. The core of the cold was in the northwest United States. And that really kind of played games and wreaked havoc on our weather here in the East Coast, because that kept allowing us ridge to keep popping up and sending all our storms a little farther north than some of us snow lovers would have liked. So as we look forward, this is where we are so far. Basically, this is your halftime scorecard. December finished a tenth of a degree above average, so basically we're right on target for where we should have been for the month of December. We had a lot of ups and downs, but when everything finished out, right where we were expecting to be on average. January so far, after 14 days, we're about 3 degrees above average. So, January is looking a little warmer than we had expected. We'll have to see where things settle out at the end of the month. Snowfall, you can see November, the average is 1.3 inches. We finished with 1 in Poughkeepsie. December 9.7, 9.8 in Poughkeepsie. So, we were doing really good in terms of snowfall compared to average through November and December. So far in January, not so good. We should be right around 6 inches. We're just under 2 inches. It's not terrible. So when you look at the numbers so far on paper, it's really not as bad as it may feel. I know a lot of us feel like this winter has been really lackluster. If you're a snow lover, it kind of feels like a mild, really warm winter. Even if you're a snow hater, I know a lot of people who have been celebrating and thinking that it's been a great winter so far because it's been mild, and we've definitely had some mild days, but the cold has really punched in from time to time, and it's really made for the in aggregate the winter and so far hasn't been as warm as it's felt. All right, so this is the 500 millibar map for the month of December. It's basically your jet stream. And what you see here is that for the entire month of December, the jet stream's basically something like this. All right, so you basically have a flow that's just allowing cold air to dump down out of Canada into the northwest. And the real problem that we've had here in the Northeast, if you're a snow lover, is this ridge right here. This southeast ridge has really been the bane of our existence, because what happens is every time you have the jet stream plunge down in the northwest here, the reaction that the atmosphere has is to push this ridge further north. And if this ridge comes down further north, so it's, the trough digs down in the west and it comes north, what's that going to do? Well, storms follow the jet stream effectively. So they ride down, you get all this snow that we've had out in California, this incredible snowfall. You may have seen some of the pictures. We've got tons of rain in California, mudslides. It's been a major problem. even though they really do need the rain out there. But the storms, when they get to the middle of the country, they basically follow a path that goes right on to our north, and that allows the warm air to come up, and that'll change us over to from snow to a mix of sleet and freezing rain, eventually rain. And then what you get is that when the storm goes through, cold comes right back in on the backside, and so you go from cold to warm and rain, and then back to cold. So it's pretty much the worst possible pattern that snow lovers can imagine. So yeah, it's what we've been stuck in. So it's probably also why most people feel like the winter in total has been really kind of mild and easy because yes, we've had the cold, but when the storms come, we tend to warm up and change over to rain. So that's where things have been. Where are we going? All right. So you just saw the general. This was the jet stream for the month of December. All right, and this is where we're going. And you'll notice some similarities. This is the forecasted jet stream for Friday, the 21st. And you'll notice that we've got, change my color here, apologies. And you'll notice that we've got this jet stream continues to dive down into the west, and then it's going to shoot up. And I mean, the problem is you're just going to continue to see this cold and stormy pattern hold on out west. And the reflex to that is this ridge just keeps charging up. So what you're going to see is, once again, we've got another storm coming on Tuesday. It's going to follow this track, roughly something like this. And so you'll have, after a chilly weekend, you'll see it temps moderate. By Tuesday, we'll be looking at rain showers and temps, near 40. And then by midweek and later, latter part of the week, you can see this ridge pushes all the way up into eastern Canada. Just going to allow the warmth to move in. It's not an extremely warm pattern for the Hudson Valley, but it is going to be warm enough so that anything that comes into this area will fall in the form of rain. So that's where we're going. Where do we think we're ultimately going? All right, so I mean, this is a pattern that is going to be persistent for the next several days. This is where we think we're going ultimately. And in a second, if I can get this to work right, I'm going to show you how we're going to get there. Got a little graphic put together that should walk us through the next 10 to 15 days. But ultimately, this is the pattern that we think we're going to be going toward. And you can see the jet stream really shifts around. Instead of having a ridge here in the east, you have a trough, which is going to allow for the cold air to come down instead of going, instead of warm air to come up from the south. And what you end up having is, instead of this big dip in the jet out here, instead of that, you have a nice big ridge that's set up over Alaska. Now, if this pattern comes to play out, and again, this is projecting way out, January 30th. So this is a ways down the road. And if we end up getting to this point, it would be a colder and snowier pattern for the Hudson Valley and for the eastern, seaboard in general. And it would really kind of shut off the snow machine out here out west, where it's just been cold and snowy. They would see more of a moderate and a drier stretch of weather out west. Will this happen? We'll see. How do we get from, excuse me, sorry about this, hold on a second. How do we get from this to this? Oh, let's see. Let's see if we can show you. Alright, so bear with me, we're going to let this cycle through. This is going to be basically, graphics going to just walk you through the entire forecast period. And I can't stop it, so we're going to wait it out. And alright, here we go. Alright, so this is where we're starting. This is Monday the 16th, 17th, 18th. Alright, you can see this ridge pushes up into Canada. It's going to be warm in the east, cold and stormy out west as the storms continue to roll in off the Pacific Ocean. This big block just holds in northeast Canada, and eventually we'll see storms being able to push underneath this block as it slowly shifts back into northwest Canada. We'll do it one more time. Alright, it's going to be warm in the east, All right, storm's going to be plowing into the west coast of the United States, cold, but when the storm track's going to pull them north because of this block, eventually we'll see storms try to push under the block, and once the storms begin to push underneath this block, it will slowly retrograde back into northwest Canada, and when that happens, the cold air will be able to come out of the uh, you know out of the polar region, I should say. Sorry, too many things going on at once here. But we'll have the cold air be able to come out of the polar region more often if that actually plays out. And I do say if because nothing is for certain in the weather world, but there is good agreement amongst the modeling that that's where we're going to be going. It's about 10 to 15 days away, so snow lovers will need to be patient. But the idea is that once this pattern sets up, it will stick and hold. We do not expect it to be as transient as we've seen in the past, where the cold comes in, it lasts for a day or two, and then the warmth returns. This pattern looks likely to persist through much of the month of February. Again, a lot of ifs in play here, but that's what we're thinking. And just for all you snow lovers, because we don't want to forget about you, when this pattern begins to shift to this, as we start to get these storms to push underneath this block before it shifts to northwest Canada as it's moving back, you might be able to pull a storm out of your hat. This is just for fun. I mean, this is definitely not a forecast, but really just to demonstrate that as the pattern begins to shift, we'll be able to see some chances at snow begin to develop. This is way down the road, January 27th, but the idea would be that there'll be a big block in Canada, and what it'll do is a storm will form out in the Midwest, and instead of being able to push north because of the block that'll be in Canada, the storm will be forced to the coast and then could come up the coast. The big challenge we're going to have when this pattern starts to unfold is how much cold air do we have to work with. Initially, it's not going to get extremely cold right away, so rain and snow could be an issue, but the potential is there. So this was a long video, but we always knew it was going to be because we had a lot of stuff we wanted to cover. But like I say, you get a general idea of what we've seen so far this winter. Halfway through the winter, it's been a bit underwhelming. A little bit warmer than we've expected so far in January. Obviously, that's going to continue for a few more days. We do think that the month ends colder, but I don't think it'll be cold enough to undo all the warmth we've seen so far in the month of January. But we do have a lot of winter to go, so if the pattern can shift to what we expect and hold, we could see several chances at snow and a lot colder temperatures, a lot more in line with what we projected in the winter outlook. So snow lovers, hang in there. It's going to be tough. The next 10 days are going to be as tough for us as they are for you, because we're looking for some excitement, and there's not a whole lot of excitement on the weather map the next 7 to 10 days. But once we get down the road, things are looking up. So hang in there. All right. Questions, comments, we always love to hear from you. Really appreciate your feedback, and we hope that you enjoyed the video, found it useful, and really appreciate all your support. So until the next video, this has been Bill Potter. Thank you very much.